Okay, hello. Welcome to part 8. We'll start off with little Simon the Sham. You know, gotta have a little Red Riding Hood. And then we've got some Santana here. Santana 3, great LP. Of course, that's down the Japanese first edition. And then we've got the first Santana LP. And just last month I finally sold, I had the original first press Columbia 2i, and I found this on eBay. It's a German pressing from 2008, and I compared both of them, and I thought this was just as good or maybe a little bit better. So I've got that one now. And, you know, this is a lot better than that new MoFi that's come out. So I paid $5 for it, believe it or not. It's a good deal there. Okay, then, and of course I wanted to say too that I've had a lot of different Japanese pressings of this, you know, first editions and such, and none of them were ever better than that first Canada Press Columbia 2i until I found this thing. It's from 2008. It's a Sony BMG, made in the EU, and it looks, you know, it's got GEM, so it's a German press. Really good. Okay, so, and then of course, this one's on the half-speed master, on that Master Sound audiophile pressing, Abraxas. And then I've got some of these Joe Satriani. You know, he's a great guitarist. Surfing with the Alien, that's a really good record. And let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, Scorpions. This is the only Scorpions that I have. It's the I think it's the first one that they ever did. Flight to the Rainbow. I think that's pretty good. And then I've got the Simple Minds. This one here. And that's on a picture disc. And it's got that Sanctify Yourself on here. Yeah, I like that. That's a good song. That's why I've got this. And then, as far as all the Simon and Garfunkel LPs are concerned, I got this out of Japan. It's a 3 LP box set, and it's got all their old great hits on here on a really great sounding Japanese pressing. So that took care of all those Simon and Garfunkel records that I used to have. And then Simply Red. And this record right here, this is a picture book. This has got great fidelity on it. I used to use the first edition that I had for years of this, domestic, for a lot of, you know, critical listening when I wanted to compare different components, different things. Just put that Sad Old Red from this on here. Very, very great song. And then I bought this Japanese press here a while back. Sounds really nice. That's a good record. Great sounding record. Okay, what else we got here? Some Leonard Skinner. Let me talk about this one here. Okay, this Leonard Skinner record here, of course, has been reissued by Mobile Fidelity. I used to have the Japanese first press like this, but it didn't have the OB on it, and the record was in kind of so-so condition. So I bought the Mobile Fidelity, compared the two, and the Japanese first press was a little bit better, but it was not in that nice a shape. So I bought the Mobile Fidelity because, you know, it was a pretty good price. Then I was actually bidding on another record. This one happened to come up as well. So like I said, I like to usually buy 2 or 3 records from the same seller to get the price down. Ended up, I didn't get what I really wanted, but I ended up buying this for a really good price. Nobody bid against me. And so now I've got this basically in pristine condition, and that's the best sounding version of this LP that's currently available. And then the Smiths, I've got 4 of theirs. I like the Smiths. I haven't really listened to them a whole lot, but every time I put these records on, I really like them. I like the songs on them. I think they're really good. These 4 records here are the ones that I have. Queen's Dead and this one right here. And yeah, Mobile Fidelity, I think there's reissued those too. So And then I've got Smithereens. Still got this one. And then I've got this band here, the Stampeders. They're a Canadian band. And this record here, pretty rare one. And it's got the Ramona on it and a couple other really good hits on this record. And of course it's a nice sounding record, and this has got a, I mean it's a first edition kind of a pebble cover on it and everything. It's really nice. And then we get to another one of those top 10 bands, and that would be Steely Dan, under S here, of course. And this is the Donald Fagen. This is the newest one that's come out, this Sunken Condo. And then we've got this Morph the Cat, and both these LPs have got really phenomenal sound on them. They went all out. They really did a great job, and they're both double records. And then I've got Katy Light on this second edition press. And then, okay, now this one has been reissued, and I bought the reissue, and it's Warner Brother, I believe, reissued it. Man, really good. I used to have Japanese, it was a promo, and I never really did like the sound on that promo, but I got this one, and this one really, really sounds nice. So that reissue now that they come up with, get that one. That's a good one. And Gaucho, it's on this Masterfile series, and it sounds really, really nice. That's an older record, but it sounds really good. Then Asia on the first edition Japanese, Royal Scam first edition Japanese, and you know these records are fantastic. These are all great, great records. Steely Dan, Pretzel Logic again on the first edition. And the reason I've got all these Steely Dans on the first edition, because again they haven't been reissued. So I wanted the best sounding version there is. And I used to have all these, most of them on second editions, but I went and looked on eBay, and I ended up getting the first editions, which, you know, they're pretty expensive, but you got to do a lot of shopping. And like for instance, this one, I bought one, and it didn't have the OB, and then I found one with the OB, but the record wasn't in that good a shape. So, you know, I got the one with the really good record and one with the OB, and put them all together, and ended up selling the other stuff on eBay, you know, to try to get the price down. And then this one here, it has been reissued a while back, but I can't remember the name of the label, but they usually do classical recordings all the time, and they reissued this a while back, and that's a really good sounding record. So now we get to some of the really good reissue. Tifa de Tillerman, like I said before, I used to have the mobile fidelity of this record, but they Quality Records reissued this, and boy, are they ever beautiful. They explain in their online there how they got the most expensive process they could to make records. Whatever the process was to make the most expensive gatefold cover there was, that's what they used. The best quality of everything. And the sound of the record is beyond reproach. I mean, it's kind of like that, what they call about master tape quality sound. It's really, really nice. So if you weren't sure about that record, that's one to get. And it's a big record actually, and I'm having trouble getting it in here. So we'll just set it aside for now. Okay, and then of course Al Stewart. I've got both those Al Stewart records on the older mobile fidelities. They both really sound nice. Those are both Time Passages and The Year of the Cat. Those are really good. And then I still have, which I had a bunch of these Strangler records, but I still held on to this one. I think this is the best one they did. And then again, this is a pretty record not many people know about. This is what's his name? Terry Brooks and the Strange, Translucent World. Wow, this is on one at that Arkema, that Italian reissue label. Wow, what guitar work on this thing, I tell you what, it's wild. And then we move along, here we've got Stray. I sold my other Stray. I had about 3 or 4 of them. I kept this one, this is pretty good. Street Heart, all you ever heard of this, is a Canadian band, Street Heart. They're good. If you ever see that, pick it up, you'll like it. And then I just bought this. This is a newer record here, it's called Sundial. It's similar to that Liquid Sound Company, that type of a sound. Guitar. kind of got that Middle Eastern kind of, you know, influence in it, sounds like. And then of course you get the Supertramp, Prime of the Century. I've got it on the MoFi, and I got it on the Canadian audiophile series. They're both about the same sounding record, and they both really are the same. They're both made in Japan. But if you don't have this record, if you haven't heard this before, these are phenomenal sounding. These are great demonstration records. Supertramp, they really do a good job fidelity wise. You can really hear everything that's going on with these. These are really, really good. And then of course I've got Breakfast in America on that audiophile series. Even in the Quietest Moments on the audiophile series, which this one's hard to find. And Crisis What Crisis on the audiophile series, just a little different packaging there. And then I've got a couple of those Sugarloaf, you know, Green Eyed Lady. These guys are good. They're both on the original and that Liberty label, so those are really good. Okay, here's a good one. It's called Sweet Smoke, Just a Poke, and this is the reissue. And it's got one song on each side, and they've got some of that sitar and music and that type of thing on there. Good, a lot of guitar work on there. And we're on T, so we're into T-Rex, and this is the first edition. And then of course Electric Warrior, that's the second edition. But I just bought the Rhino and done this too. I just bought the Rhinos. It's in the mail. Just bought it the other day. Talking Heads, Speaking in Tongues. That's the only Talking Heads I haven't anymore, because I just never listened to them. But I like this one, so I kept it. And then we've got Tanita Tinkerum. It's got some good songs on this record right here. And then again, they sound really good. It's got good sound on it. And then we get into 10 Years After. 10 Years After was a great band. And these are all great records. This is The Undead. And this is a reissue now that was done by Audio Fidelity. I used to have the Columbia 2i of this for years and a great fidelity on it. And they reissued it, this Audio Fidelity label. And it's not cheap, but it's great. It's great. It has a great sound and it's a great package. And then Cricklewood Green, but 10 Years After, it's another really good LP. And this LP, but 10 Years After, this is the Japanese second edition of that record. And then this is a UK, this has got two of their early LPs, 10 Years After, and then 10 Years After. That's that's the two different LPs. They're really early records. It sounds pretty good. So then we're on to, this is a record I finally got. It's called The Human Instinct. And this is a band from New Zealand, I think it is. Great guitar work. I mean, this is almost like Jimi Hendrix-esque kind of stuff on here. If you get a chance, it's on YouTube. Check it out. But the records are hard to find. It's hard to find that record. And then I got that little bit of that Three Dog Night on there. That's good to hit once in a while. The World of Them. Man, this is a really good record. I hadn't heard it for a while, but when I was going through, I put it on there. And a lot of really good stuff on this. The band, Them. A lot of really good old songs on there. It's a good record. And then we got the Thin Lizzy, some George Thorogood, Destroyers. You got to have one bourbon, one scotch, one beer when you listen to this thing, of course. And then Joka Tolman. This is it's a European record. Good record right there. Well known in Europe, this guy. And then one of my favorite bands here, the Tragically Hip. If you haven't heard of these guys, boy, these guys back in the day, their early stuff that I've got on LP here, great rock and roll right here. Tragically Hip, this one, and then I have another one too up against the wall over there, a newer one. And then we get to one of them gems again, like Tragically Hip's not a gem, that's a gem too, but This band here, Triumvirat, Illusions on a Double Dimple. This is a fantastic record. A lot of keyboards. If you like good keyboards and singing and some good guitar working out on here, get this. They've got some other records out, Triumvirat does, but they don't stack up to this one. They're okay, but this one here is a standout. This is a great record. And then, of course, another one of those top 10 records of all time, one of those old gems. If you don't know about Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs, again, there's not been any better guitar work since Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jimi Hendrix. This Bridge of Sighs here has got it down. This thing, this will blow your mind, this record, if you don't know about this. Go on there, YouTube right now, stop the press, go listen to this. Wow, great record. And some more Robin Trower. This is a new record that they came out with, and it's good too, it's a good record. And then Caravan to Midnight, that's another good one. And then we've got this older one, their first one, it's called BLT. It's with Jack Bruce, Robin Trower, Jack Bruce, and Bill Lorden. Okay, and then of course you see what's coming up next, because we're in T, Jethro Tull. And Jethro Tull again is one of it, probably, you know, it's right up there, top 5 bands. One of my all-time favorite bands. And this is thick as a brick. I bought this years ago. It was sealed. I've only played this copy here maybe once or twice. My younger boy, he really likes Jethro Tull. So I've got this one. And then I've got Jethro Tull, Living in the Past. This is a mint copy, Japanese pressing. Very, very nice. And then, cause you know, some of the other newer ones, Stormwatch. And then I've got Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die, Still in the Shrink. And this one here, it's War Child. That's still in the Shrink. And Jethro Tull Benefit. You know, these are all first editions. And Rock Island, Passion Play, first edition Japanese. Again, a lot of these Jethro Tull records, you try to find them on the Japanese because they're pretty rare. They're all over $100. So that's why I don't, you know, certain ones you can, if you shop a lot, you might be able to find. And then here's one it's a fairly new record for Jethro Tull and pretty rare, Catfish Rising. I was able to get that. And then Crest of a Knave. I just got this on a UK press from a person in the States, not from the UK, because you try to buy them from there and they're always scratched up. And then Aqualung. You know, I've had some of those supposedly high-end copies from the UK, from the US people, but this is a first edition textured cover and all that. This is a Japanese press, and I found that this one, the mid-range on it and everything, was superior to those the ones from the States. And let's see what else we got in here. We've got Stand Back, and the first one, Jethro Tull. This was. So, you know, I got a lot of that Jethro Tull because it's all really good. And here's another one, Heavy Horses. You know, like you see a lot of the bands that cleared out their records because they're not that good, but Jethro Tull, I mean, look at him. Record after record, they're all good. And then U2. And then they just put this out. This is a reissue. It's on double heavyweight, 180 gram. It's a 2-record set, and really, really nice packaging on this thing. Really good sound on it as well. So that's worth getting. And then what else have we got? Some more YouTube. Oh, here's one. It's not really, would you say, my style, but this Alison Krauss from the older, from before the older style, the 200 gram. When this is before they were sold to, I think, Music Direct bought them. When they were making music, Vocal Fidelity.